Magandang tanghali Pilipinas! Nagbigay ng kanyang regular Monday Talk to the People address kagabi po si Presidente Rodrigo Roa Duterte sa siyudad ng Davao. Ito po yung ilan sa mga salient points. Naghahanda na ang Department of Health ng isang contingency plan para sa isang post-holiday surge. Mas mabuti ng maagap, sabi nga. Sa ngayon, alam natin na ang Christmas season ay isang masayang okasyon sa Pilipinas kung saan marami ang pagtitipon, pagkikita-kita at reunions ng mga miyembro ng pamilya at mahal sa buhay. Huwag kakalimutan ng minimum health protocol ng pamahalaan sa inyong unang narinig dito sa Office of the Presidential Spokesperson, ang mask, hugas, and iwas. Inireport din kagabi ng ating vaccine czar, Secretary Carlito Galvez, na nakipag-usap na ang pamahalaan sa vaccine manufacturers na Sinovac, AstraZeneca at Pfizer. Ang pang-apat po ay yung Russian vaccine. Kung magiging matagumpay ang pag-uusap sa susunod na taon ay magkakaroon na tayo ng 60 milyon na doses of vaccine laban sa coronavirus. Meron ba hong budget at saan kukunin ng pera? May nakalaan na sapat na pondo po rito ayon kay Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez. 73.2 billion pesos ang inilaan o ilalaan na pera ng pamahalaan sa pagbili ng bakuna. 40 billion ay magagaling sa multilateral agencies tulad ng World Bank at Asia Development Bank. 20 billion naman po ay sa domestic sources tulad ng Land Bank, Development Bank of the Philippines at Government-Owned and Controlled Corporations or GOCCs at 13.2 billion ay magagaling sa bilateral sources. Meron pa po tayong 2.5 na nakasaad sa ating pantaunan budget at meron pa tayong 10 billion na reserve galing po sa 2020 budget. Ang cost ng COVID-19 vaccine, dagdag ni Secretary Dominguez, ay nasa $25 or 1,200 bawat tao. Saan aabot ang 73.2 billion? Sa 60 milyong Pilipino. Sapat na para magkaroon ng herd community o herd immunity na tinatawag. Ito naman po ang vaccine distribution strategy ayon kay Vaccine SARS Secretary Carlito Galvez. Bibigyan prioridad siyempre po ang COVID-19 hotspots gaya ng Metro Manila, Cebu, Davao, Bacolod at iba pang mga lugar. From geographical maging sektoral, mula sa mga nasabing lugar ay tatargetin ng mga mahihirap, yung mga 4P beneficiaries na nandiyan na po ang listahan, mga indigents at vulnerable sectors, health workers, ang militar at kapulisan at iba pang mga frontliners. Inaprubahan din kagabi ng Pangulo ang pag-release ng pangalawang 1.5 billion augmentation funds para sa mga lokal na pamahalaan na tinamaan ng bagyong Ulysses. Meron pa po ito, bukod pa po ito sa standby augmentation na 500 million bawat isa para makover ang incremental augmentation ng calamity funds ng LGUs na nakaapektuhan ng mga bagyong Quinta at Rolly at bagyong Ulysses. Makikita sa slide na ito ang comparative damages and affected population ng mga bagyong Quinta, Rolly at Ulysses. Makikita po natin ang cost of damages ng Quinta and Rolly ay 22 billion 97,811,179 na nakaapekto sa 3,225,525 individuals. Sa Typhoon Ulysses naman po, ang danyos ay 12,904,933,650.28 na nakaapekto sa 3,997,034 individuals. No, ito na po yung mga nabigyan ng naunang 1.5 billion pesos, karamihan po sa Bicolandia at saka sa Calabarzon. Kasama na rin po dyan ang Masbate, Romblon, Palawan at saka ang Camarines Norte. Samantala, yung pinirmahan po kahapon ng Presidente na pangalawang 1.5 billion para sa lokal na pamahalaan, kasama na po dyan yung mga nasa Central Luzon, gaya ng Bulacan, at saka yung mga nasa Region 2, gaya ng Cagayan, Isabela. Nabigyan po din ang Pampanga, Nueva Ecija, Camarines Sur, Quezon, Albay, Rizal, Quirino, Laguna, Camarines Norte, Pangasinan, Nueva Vizcaya, Tarlac, Aurora, Cavite, Ilocos Norte, Quezon, Batangas, Sorsogon, Marikina, Manila, Bataan at Masbate. Taliwas sa mga sinasabi ng kritiko sa panahon ng kalamidad at sakuna, walang pinipili at hindi namumulitika ang Administrasyong Duterte. Maliwanag pa sa sikat ng araw, lahat ay pantay-pantay, lahat mabibigyan, kaalyado man o hindi, bumoto man o hindi. Binasa rin ng Presidente mga pangalan ng ilan na nasibak mula sa hanay ng BIR. Nasa 300 na po ang mga opisyal at empleyado ng pamahalaan ang natanggal sa serbisyo dahil sa kanilang mga illegal na gawain. Ito lang ang administrasyon kung saan ang polisiya sa mabuting pamamahala or good governance ay sibak, sibak, sibak. Kaugnay nito, nanawagan ng Pangulo sa publiko na i-report kung meron silang nalalaman na katiwalian. Sa tinatawag na petty graft, may 10,000 pisong pabuya sa tipsters. Iingatan ang inyong pagkatao at hindi makokompromiso ang inyong kaligtasan. Kanina nabanggit ko ang post-holiday season surge. No? Naglabas ang DOH ng isang circular 2020-0355 para siguraduhin na sa darating na holiday season ay mapapanatili natin ang minimum public health standards. Nakasaad sa circular ang ligtas, katamtaman, ang panganib at mataas ang panganib ng mga gawain ngayong Kapaskuhan. Makikita ninyo ito sa isang infographic, isa-isa ko itong babasahin. Ang mga ligtas, pagdalo sa online masses, Noche Buena o Medianoche kasama ang pamilya sa loob ng tahanan, online video call sa mga pamilyang magkalayo ngayong holiday season at pamimili sa online stores. Ang katamtamang panganib, maliliit na pagtitipon sa labas o public areas, alinsunod sa physical distancing at restrictions on mass gatherings. Ang mataas na panganib naman ay ang pisikal na pagdalo sa mga indoor religious activities na maraming attendees, singing, speaking loudly and physical contact, pamimili sa masisikip na tiyanggi at mall at malalaking pagtitipon sa loob ng gusali. Punta naman po tayo sa ating COVID-19 updates. Ito po ang global update ayon sa Johns Hopkins. No? Higit 59 na milyon na or 59,091,743 ang tinimaan ng COVID-19 sa buong mundo. Nasa 1,395,045 katao naman po ang binawian ng buhay dahil sa coronavirus. Nangunguna pa rin po Estados Unidos na mayroong mahigit 12.3 milyon na mga kaso at 257,560 deaths. Pangalawang India na may pinakamaraming kaso ng COVID-19 sa mundo, sinusundan po ito ng Brazil, France at Russia. Meron po tayo ngayong 420,614 cases as of November 23 pero sa numerong ito, ang aktibong kaso ay 25,837 lamang. Now, ang recoveries po natin ay nasa 386,604 or 91.91%. Yung active cases nga pala po ngayon ay only 6.14% ng lahat ng mga may kaso at 23,666 or 91.5 are asymptomatic, mild or moderate, samantalang 2,171 po or 8.4% ay severe or critical. Sa ating case fatality, meron na po tayong namatay na 8,173 or 1.94%. No? Nakikiramay po kami muli. Pagdating naman po sa ating national growth rate, makikita po natin na yung total cases natin ay bagamat tumataas po, no, hindi naman po napakalaki ng pagtaas. Ito po yung linyang blue na nakikita nyo yon. Ito po makikita nyo na from November 9 to November 23 or every 2 weeks, no, ay 3% po ang pagtaas ng ating mga total cases. Pagdating naman po sa active cases, makikita natin na medyo stable po ang ating active cases, hindi masyado dumadami. In fact, pababa po, no? 29,018 noong November 9, naging 27,369 noong November 16 at naging 25,837 noong November 23. Ito naman po ating health system capacity indicators. Meron po tayong mga available beds ngayon. Iba po ang format pero susundin ko na po yung ating kaugalian. Kasi ito po ay TTMFs, ito po yung mga temporary treatment and monitoring facilities. Meron po tayong 168,897 beds para na TTMFs po, no? Ito po yung breakdown sa Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, no? Ito po yung health system capacity indicators natin. Meron na po tayong 177 labs at nationally At ang cumulative test na po na nagawa natin, ito po, matagal ko na hindi nare-report, nasa 5,497,015 ang mga total test na nagawa na natin. Ang target po ay 10 million. So, mahigit kalahati na po tayo. Ang positivity rate po natin ay 9.2% at ang 7 daily ang 7 DMA ay 31,724 or 10%. Ito po yung ating mga total bed capacity, no? Ang ginagamit lang po ay mababa pa po, no? Ang total bed capacity po natin ay 20% of ABC. Ang ward bed po natin ay 6,258, ang isolation beds ay 13,797, ang ICU beds ay 1,873. Mechanical ventilators ay 1,999. Pagdating po sa utilization, makita niyo po mababa pa ang ating utilization. Lahat po ng ating mga kama, ward beds, isolation beds, ICU beds, mechanical ventilators ay hindi po nasa critical, hindi po nga po naka-warning. No? Ang mga ginagamit po natin ay 29% lamang sa ward beds, 38% sa isolation beds, 44% sa isolation beds at 19% lang po nagagamit natin sa mechanical ventilators. Sa NCR po, 25% lang po nagagamit nating ward beds, 41% ang nagagamit nating isolation beds, 41% sa ICU at 23% po sa mechanical ventilators. Ang attack rate po natin, no, ay bumaba, no, from October 26 to November 8 na 1.74. Ang daily attack rate po natin ay 1.48. Ang ating target po ay under 1. Okay, so malapit na po tayo dyan. Patuloy po natin ang mask, hugas at iwas. Okay, bago po tayo pumunta sa ating open forum, kasama po natin si Mr. Christian Razon Gonzales ng ICTSI. At mamaya po kasama rin natin si Education Secretary Liling Briones. Now, pagdating po sa usaping vaccine, na-report po natin doon sa ating naunang mga press briefing na meron din tayong scheme kung saan, bagamat gobyerno po ang mag-o-order ng vaccine, ang magbabayad ay ang pribadong sektor. Isa po sa mga kumpanya na magbabayad para sa order ng Pilipinas ay ang ICTSI. So, kasama po natin ngayon si Christian Razon Gonzales. Mr. Gonzales, can you tell us po ano yung napagkasunduan ninyong mekanismo kung saan magbabayad ng private sector pero mapupunta rin sa sambayanan yung bibiling mga bakuna? The floor is yours, Mr. Gonzales.
Salamat, Sec. First of all, happy to see you safe. And I've been communicating with your staff, also very happy to see that they're all doing well and staying safe also. I'd like to point out that this is really an initiative of AstraZeneca, the UK government, the Philippine government, particularly Secretary Galvez, Secretary Dizon, and the rest of the IATF and DOH. Under this, what will be a tri-party agreement, Sec, ang mangyayari dito is private sector will shoulder the cost not only of the 50% deposit for the AstraZeneca vaccine, but likewise the remaining 50% due once the vaccine is delivered, which is expected now to be sometime in the second quarter of 2021. Yung guidelines naman will be a separation of 50% of this vaccine will be purely for the use of DOH under what is called equitable distribution to be determined by the government. The other 50% will be for the private entity to determine. And naturally, one of the targets that we will have, of course, will be our own employees. But in the case of ICTSI, we strongly believe that some of the key essential services members that really made the biggest impact, especially at the beginning of the pandemic, were yung mga empleyado ng Philippine Ports Authority, Bureau of Customs, and other essential frontline port and logistics workers. So ang magiging emphasis namin for the remaining 50% of our share of the AstraZeneca vaccine that is delivered will be for those essential logistics service providers. And of course, as I mentioned, the employees of ICTSI and the entire Rason Group.
Okay. So, Mr. Gonzales, ito pala po ay yung bibili natin sa AstraZeneca. Meron na ba ho tayong target kung magkano? At you don't have to answer kung covered po ito ng confidentiality clause. Pero masasabi nyo ba ho kung ilan yung volume na babayaran muna ng private sector, kalahati ibibigay sa gobyerno, kalahati ibibigay sa empleyado, at ilang mga tauhan din ng gobyerno?
From what I understand, no, Sec, is yung allocation ng Pilipinas is approximately 3 to 5 million doses. At saka meron na tayong commitments as of today for up to 2 million doses to be funded by the private sector. Those 2 million doses will cover 1 million people, the vast majority of whom will be government employees, frontline health workers, and other essential services workers, as designated by DOH, and of course some of the other essential services workers like those in logistics, as I mentioned.
Now, itong sinabi nyong quantity po, bukod pa po ito doon sa makukuha natin under the COVAX facility.
Yes, sir. I believe this is just a small part of what I think the government is aiming towards. Kagaya nga ng sinabi niyo earlier. Ang total budget natin is enough for 60 million Filipinos, no? So this is just a way for us through this tri-party agreement again to contribute to this effort of the national government.
Pero itong 1 million na sinasabi natin, no, ito ba ho'y kasama na sa 60 or is this 60 plus 1?
I believe kasama to sa 60, sir.
Okay. Maraming salamat, Mr. Gonzales. Sana po you can remain with us just in case meron pong tanong yung ating mga kasama sa Malacanang Press Corps. Kasama rin po natin si Secretary Ling Briones. Ma'am, are you in the house?
Yes, I'm around,
Yes.
Spokes.
Ma'am,
Nandito ako.
ang tanong ko lang po, kahapon nag-anunsyo si Vice President Robredo na meron daw siyang joint project with your department, the Department of Education, kung saan magkakaroon ng face-to-face classes ang hanggang 6 na mga estudyante. Ano ba ho itong programang ito? Meron ba ho itong katotohanan? Dahil ang alam ko po, bawal pa rin ang face-to-face classes hanggang bigyan ng okay ng ating presidente. The floor is yours, Secretary Briones.
Tama ka, Secretary Spokes. Hanggang ngayon, yung policy ng President, hindi pa niya binago. Very quickly, ano ko yung timeline sa mga pangyayari. Last August, nag-request ang office ng Vice President na nagsasabi na sinasuggest nila yung project na yan. Tapos sinagot namin, humingi kami ng details. Tapos on record yan lahat at saka binigyan namin ng kopya ang President at saka ang Executive Secretary ng aming mga sagot. So on record yan lahat. At ang polisiya namin, dahil sinusunod namin ang utos ng Presidente, hindi natin yan inaalaw. Kasi hindi naman namin, wala naman sa authority ng DepEd na mag-anunsyo ng ganong klase na i-reverse natin ang sinasabi ng Presidente. Ang nangyari ay ang OVP nag-coordinate directly with the LGUs. Ang sitwasyon ngayon, Secretary Spokes, halimbawa sa Pasig, nag-coordinate sila directly with the LGU and Pasig, pero one-on-one dahil hindi naman in-approve ng ating Division Superintendent yon. Sa Caloocan naman, hindi natuloy dahil hindi din in-approve ng ating Division Superintendent dahil nga may policy nga tayo. Hindi rin in-approve ng LGU. Dumaan sila sa isang congressman. So walang program ang Caloocan. Sa Taytay Rizal naman, nakipag-ugnayan sila sa barangay pero hindi involved ang Department of Education. Kasi on record walang ganong klaseng kasunduan, walang ganong klaseng approval at nananatili pa rin ang policy ng ating presidente na walang face-to-face sessions ang mga bata sa pagkangayon samantalang wala pa tayong vaccine. Ayan ay still in force at sinusunod ng DepEd yan. Maraming salamat, Spokes.
Thank you, Secretary Briones. Pumunta na tayo sa ating open forum. Yusek Rocky?
Yes, good afternoon, Secretary Roque. Tanong po mula kay Laila Salaveria ng Inquirer. Ito po tanong niya, the President said he won't release the names of congressmen allegedly receiving kickbacks from projects because he can't investigate them as they are from a different branch of government. How different is this from his release of the narco list, which included the names of judges who are members of the judiciary? Why he is now reluctant to name names?
I think it's evidentiary. Sinabi naman po yan ni Presidente na because this is an issue of evidence, mas mabuting mag-imbestiga ay ang ombudsman dahil ang jurisdiction ng ombudsman ay lahat ng tao ng gobyerno, hindi lang po ang ehekutibo or legislative or judicial. No? Pagdating naman po dun sa mga West, no, siguro po dahil nakita ni Presidente mismo bilang dating piskal ang ebidensya laban doon sa mga huwes na yon. Napakadali po kasi yan una-una. Kung ang allegation ay tumanggap ang isang huwes para ma-acquit ang isang drug lord at meron pong ebidensya na ipinakita, well, sa tingin po ng Presidente, tatayo yung ebidensyang yon, no? At madali tumayo. Ang problema po dito sa mga ebidensya sa congressmen, di umano, merong mga proyekto na linuto ang bidding at ibinigay sa contractor na favor na nagbibigay ng porsyento sa kanya. So parang ang dami pong mga ebidensyang kinakailangan na hindi naman po hawak ng Presidente ng personal. No? Unlike yung mga ebidensya na tumanggap ng suhol ang isang huwes, no, na talagang madali naman po ma-establish yan by evidence. So I can only surmise na it is evidentiary. And number two, he stands by what he said, no, that this entails separation of powers. Mas mabuti na ombudsman na mag-imbestiga.
Thank you, Secretary.
Joyce Balancho, please.
Yes, good afternoon po, Secretary Roque and kay Secretary Briones and po and to our guests. Follow up dun sa tanong po on congressmen, yung mga pangalan po ng congressmen. Some are also questioning the reasons why the President did not name them publicly. May mga nagsasabi po baka po may mga kaalyado si Pangulong Duterte dito sa listahan. That's why he refuses to name them in public.
Well, hindi po. Ang tingin ko nga po, it's evidentiary. Alam ni Presidente na madali ma-establish ang korupsyon ng mga West na nag-a-acquit sa mga drug lords at mas mahirap pruebahan itong series of acts pagdating sa korupsyon di umano na sinabi ng PACC.
So once po hawak na ni Pangulong Duterte yung evidence against these congressmen, will he change his mind and name them publicly?
Hindi na nga po dahil sinabi na niya na isusumitan na niya yung mga pangalan sa ombudsman at ang ombudsman ang gagawa po ng investigasyon.
Sir, on a different topic, si Interior Secretary Eduardo Año said that some mayors, either directly or indirectly, are involved in illegal logging and illegal mining in some areas, and possibly itong illegal operators daw po ang sumusuporta sa kanilang mga kampanya during election time. Ano po ang balak ng Pangulo sa kanya, and is he interested in naming them also in public?
Well, una-una po, iniimbestigahan ngayon po yan ni Secretary Año. And depending on the final results of the investigation, po pwede pong matanggal sa pwesto yung mga mayor na yan at po pwede rin kasuhan ng kasong kriminal.
May paalala kayo, sir, sa mga mayors po na sangkot dito?
Well, mga mayors, no, nandyan po kayo dyan para ipatupad po ang batas, hindi para kayong lumabag ng batas. Hindi po dapat ginagamit na parang negosyo, para sa negosyo ang inyong posisyon. Nakita naman po natin ang danyos na dulot ng illegal logging at illegal mining, lalong-lalo na dyan sa probinsya ng Cagayan. You will have blood in your hands kung poprotektahan nyo po ang mga illegal miners at illegal loggers.
Sir, just a very quick question po kay Secretary Briones. Pwede
yes,
po?
please.
Secretary Briones, good afternoon po. Ang Catholic Educational Association of the Philippines is actually appealing to the Department of Education to help private schools that are severely affected by the pandemic. Ikinalulungkot po nila yung recently nagsara na po kasi itong College of Holy Spirit in Manila, and according to DepEd data, nasa 860 private schools na raw po ang not operating for school year 2020 and 2021. What help or aid can we provide to these private schools, Secretary?
Ang sinasabi namin palagi ay itong mga problema sa private schools konektado sa estado ng ekonomiya. dahil bumaba yung level ng enrollment nila at saka nahihirapan silang magsweldo ng kanilang mga teachers. Konektado ito sa ekonomiya. Ngayon na unti-unti nang binubuksan ng ekonomiya, unti-unti na rin bumabalik ang mga estudyante. At saka ako bilang Secretary of Education ay talagang kinakampanya namin na bigyan ng ayuda yung mga teacher na halimbawa 10 months lang sila nagtuturo kasi sarado ang mga eskwelahan, nabigyan din sila ng ayuda na isama sila. Ito ay na-bring up na sa IATF at saka ngayon alam naman natin ang Department of Labor ang nag-handle nitong mga kaso na mga teachers na kailangan bigyan ng tulong lalo na galing sa private schools dahil wala silang trabaho dahil sarado ang mga eskwelahan.
Thank you po, Secretary.
Yes.
Back to you, Sec. Rocky. Thank you, Joyce. Back to you, Sec. Rocky, please.
Yes, Secretary. For Secretary Briones po, tanong mula po kay Evelyn Quiroz ng Filipino Mirror. Ito po ang tanong, Secretary Briones. The Department of Education said that it will replace self-learning modules damaged by consecutive typhoons that hit the country. This after the public outcry over the DepEd said that schools should have to solve the problem of damaged SLMS on their own. Have you found a funding source for the replacement of damaged modules and how much will the DepEd allocate for said replacement?
Ay, ang balita na yan ay taken out of context kasi wala pa yung mga bagyo. May provision na para sa supplementary learning materials for the next quarter. Eh ngayon, handa tayo sa national kasi hindi naman natin sinacharge ang mga bata para sa mga materials o yung mga teacher na para sa mga materials na ito. Ay mag-download tayo ng 1.2 billion para sa mga supplementary learning materials, palitan yung mga nasisira, at saka yung para for the next quarter, mahanda na ito lahat. Wala sa isip ng national government o sa kay Presidente na ang mga teacher o ang mga learners ang magbabayad nito. Walang sinasabi ang DepEd na ganong klaseng polisiya. Kasi galing sa central office ang pera nito, ida-download na 1.2 billion for the next term, pero may polisiya, may plea ang Department of Education na unti-unti nating i-reduce ang dependence sa mga printed materials dahil pinapatay natin yung ating mga gubat, ang kahoy. Pinaka-expensive na learning material ay itong printed kasi gumagamit tayo ng papel, gumagamit tayo ng tinta. Very expensive, not only expensive but very harmful to the environment. Kaya talagang tinitingnan natin yung ibang paraan ng pag-share ng learning process sa mga bata natin.
Thank you, Secretary.
Okay, punta naman tayo kay Pia Renada.
Hello, Sec?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. Sir, my first question is about the president's remarks yesterday about he said he can't investigate lawmakers, congressmen because of separation of powers. So, sir, just to follow up on this, how come before, specifically in 2016, he had no problems with making public allegations against Senator Laila de Lima? Sir, it appears there's a double standard. Why didn't he refrain back then if he has this idea that he can't encroach on the legislative branch?
Well, as I said, it must be evidentiary, no? Kasi kay Laila de Lima, napakalakas ang ebidensya na talagang involved siya doon sa kalakalangan pinagbabawal na droga. So, 11 witnesses testified against her, no? So, between that and yung allegations na namili ng favored contractor, na humingi ng porsyento, mahirap pong pruebahan yun, no? So, binigay na niya yan sa ombudsman.
But sir, at the time he was making those allegations, at least the first time, no? This was August 2016 and hindi pa tapos yung hearings then. It wasn't there wasn't any conclusion yet about Senator Laila de Lima's involvement. So sir, bakit ganun?
Well, as lawyers kasi you can evaluate evidence for yourself. Lalo na dating public prosecutor ang Pangulo. No? So malinaw na malinaw pa sa sikat ng araw yung pananagutan ni Laila de Lima sa illegal drug trafficking at ito namang pagdating sa mga kongresista na nakikikulyod daw sa mga contractors, mas competent po talagang mag-evaluate niyan ang ombudsman because yan nga po ang dahilan kung bakit nag-establish tayo ng ombudsman. Samantalang ang drug trafficking naman po, that's really a jurisdiction of the public prosecutors and not the specialized prosecutors under the Office of the Ombudsman.
Does it the same go for the president though? Like he can't make his own evaluation about this particular transaction. Lalo na if this is infrastructure projects that he said he's committed to finding the solution to, or the issue behind it.
Because kung siya po mag-iimbestiga niyan, wala na siya magagawa. 300 plus congressmen po yan. Pero meron naman pong opisina tayo that specializes on this, which is the Ombudsman. Si Laila de Lima naman po, one of a kind.
Is this a signal from the president, sir, to agencies like the PACC and the Mega Task Force to refrain from investigating lawmakers?
Hindi po, dahil ang PACC, ang mandato naman talaga niya, either mag-file sa piskalya o mag-file sa ombudsman. So tuloy lang po ang trabaho.
Okay, pero sir, he will not, yung policy moving forward is if it's congressmen, if it's lawmakers, he will not mention their names. But he's already mentioning names of government employees, like in the Bureau of Immigration, yung BIR. Ganun po yung policy now.
Because they are under the executive. As you know, BIR, Bureau of Immigration are all under the executive. Okay? Thank you, Pia. Back to you, Sec. Rocky.
Yes, Secretary, question from Tina Panganiban Perez of GMA7. Dumarami na daw po ang mga tao sa mga tiyangge. Ano po ba ang IATF regulation sa pagkontrol ng dami ng mga tao sa mga tiyangge? Mapapanagot ba ang admin ng tiyangge kapag siksikan sa loob? Ano po ba ang parusa?
Pwede po. Kung maalala nyo, nung tayo po'y unang-unang nagluwag, talagang dinagsa ng tao ang mga malls at merong mga malls na sinarado po ng mga lokal na pamahalaan. So, i-remind ko lang po mga tiyangge operators, pwede po kayo mapasara kapag hindi nyo po inobserve ang social distancing. Pwede naman pong limitahan yung mga pumapasok sa mga tiyangge, kinakailangan lang magkaroon ng special entry at exit points. Pag hindi po kayo nag-control ng crowd, baka mapasara kayo, lalo kayo mawala ng negosyo.
Thank you, Secretary.
Joseph Morong, please.
There you are. Hi, sir.
Hi, sir.
Ayan. Sir, kinig niya na?
Yes, please. Go ahead, Joseph.
Sir, sa COVID muna, no? Is it 60 million Filipinos or 60 million doses?
60 million Filipinos. We had to specify Filipinos kasi may ilang mga bakuna, 2 doses, may ilang bakuna, 1 dose. So basta it will be enough for 60 million Filipinos.
Okay, but so far, yung tatlo na mention require 2 dosage. No? Sir, okay, clarification. As far as AstraZeneca is concerned, mukhang medyo advanced na tayo doon in terms of talking, and Secretary Galvez said MOU could be possible end of November. Yun pong sinabi ng ICTSI, yun pong babayaran nila muna yung 50% and then pagdating ng bakuna 50%. Is that the total allocation from AstraZeneca that we're talking about? Or meron pang bukod na inaayos ng government from ICTSI?
I could be wrong, but Christian, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think yung participation ng private sector is as to 1 million. No? But Mr. Gonzales, can you confirm this?
Right now, Sec, the commitments are for 2 million doses, from what I understood in the call this morning. But obviously, we everybody in the private sector and in the public sector, through Secretary Galvez, are trying to get more commitments to reach the maximum allocation that AstraZeneca is offering, which is between 3 to 5 million doses, from what I understand.
Okay, so sir, yung pong 3 to 5 million, yung kulang sa 60 million, we have to source from other vaccine manufacturers. But as far as AstraZeneca, 3 to 5 million yung kaya natin makuha.
Under this tri-party agreement between AstraZeneca, the UK and Philippine government, and the private sector corporations in the Philippines, yes, correct.
All right, sir, thank you. Secretary,
Thank you.
So yung issue, so ibig sabihin kung 60 million yan and possibly 2 dosage each, we're talking about 120 million dosage of vaccine. Sir, in terms of deployment, meron ang nakalatag, no? I mean, geographical and then sectoral. But in terms of administering the drug, the vaccine, how many doctors are we going to need? Is it necessarily going to be doctors who are going to make the bakuna to everyone? Paano, sir, yung ganong aspect of manpower
Well,
in terms of administering?
Fortunately, malawak po ang karanasan ng DOH pagdating sa mga vaccination drives. No? Ang alam ko po, hindi naman lahat doktor ang nag-administer niyan. Hindi nga kinakailangan doktor. Karamihan po nurses at kasama rin yung mga barangay health workers.
Yes, sir. 73 billion pesos. These are loans. How are we going to pay that much money?
Maliit lang
Can
po
we
yan.
share at least yung terms of payment dun sa World Bank and ADB? 40 billion yun yung biggest.
Sa World Bank po, alam ko, 30 years pa nga ata yan at halos walang interest rate. No? Dahil nga po ito ay special lending facility for COVID. So halos wala pong interest rate yan at napakahaba po ng term of payment. Okay? Thank you, Joseph. Next, balik tayo kay Yusek Rocky.
Yes, Secretary, tanong po mula kay MJ Blanca Flor of Daily Tribune. U.S. National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien has requested for a year-long extension of U.S.-Philippine Visiting Forces Agreement, saying it will allow further negotiations for a more acceptable security arrangement. Is the palace open to suspend VFA termination for another year?
Let's just say that the President has taken note of the request of U.S. authorities and he will decide as Chief Architect of Foreign Policy.
Okay, thank you, Secretary.
Yes.
Trish
Tirada, please, of CNN.
Hi, good afternoon, Secretary. Sir, first few questions for you, then probably to Mr. Gonzales and to Secretary Giling.
Go
Sir,
ahead.
yung pagbabasa
Freeze ka, Trish.
po ng Pangulo, this has been a practice for the past few weeks, no, in his briefing. Hello, Secretary?
Yeah, medyo nag-choppy ka. Hindi ko nakuha yung question. Nag-choppy ka.
Sige, sir. Sir, ito pong pagbabasa ng Pangulo ng mga pangalan ng mga officials or government workers linked to corruption or anomalous transactions in the government, it's already been a practice, sir, for the past few weeks. Sir, we're just interested to know, sir, kumusta yung naging outcome nitong practice na to of, kumbaga, publicly naming, shaming people? Because, sir, in a way, my second question would be, does it, yung policy ng Pangulo na hindi pangalanan yung mga lawmakers, doesn't this question the sincerity of the President's war on corruption?
Hindi po, kasi ang pinapangalanan ni Presidente ay yung mga nasa ehekutibo. In fact, kung mapapansin nyo, minsan ang parusa ay suspension, binabago right there and then ni Presidente, dismissal. So yan po kasi ay nasa jurisdiction ng ehekutibo. Samantalang pagdating po sa legislatura, no, hindi naman niya masususpend ang mga legislators. Walang power to suspend ang Presidente sa mga senador at sa mga congressmen because only the chamber itself can suspend them. No? And in fact, terminate them. No? Dahil kaya nga meron silang ethics committee. No? Pagdating naman sa criminal responsibility, yan nga po ay specialization naman ng ombudsman. So ganun lang po yun because we're talking of three separate branches of government.
Sir, if that's the case, why not altogether, kumbaga, sir, scrap the shaming of these people, considering that they have families and in some cases, kailangan pa pong ma-prove yung kanilang involvement. And kumbaga, sir, kumbaga kung hindi rin naman po mapapangalanan yung mga bigger people behind, for example, these anomalous transactions, bakit po maliliit, kumbaga lang yung tinitira?
Number one, hindi ko po alam kung mayroong mga malalaking tao behind them. Dahil wala naman pong ganung allegation tingin ko na ina-allege against any of the names read by the President. No? Number two, hindi lang po ito suspetsa. Ito po yung mga tao na na-dismiss na ng ombudsman o di naman kaya inasuspend na ng ombudsman o di naman kaya siya mismo ang nag-suspend at siya mismo ang nag-dismiss. So wala po ditong mga tao na hindi pa naiimbestigahan. Binabasa lang po ang pangalan kapag meron ng desisyon sa administrative aspect of the case.
Sir, one last for you, then I'll go to Sir Gonzales and to Secretary. Sir, are we anticipating a second wave? Parang kapag titignan natin yung holidays and assessing by this time yung general behavior and compliance ng mga tao, is there a likelihood of a second wave? And can we expect, for example, sir, a stricter enforcement of the law with the holidays in sight? Kumbaga, ano po yung, can you give us a picture of how things will be like come the holiday season?
It's not a question for me to answer. It's for the entire Filipino nation to address. Alam natin na sabik na tayo na magdiwang dahil Pasko at pwede naman po tayo magdiwang. Basta paalalahanan natin ating mga sarili, kinakailangan abutan natin ang vaccine dahil narariyan po. At habang hindi pa po tayo nababakunahan, kahit Pasko, tayo po ay magmask, maghugas at mag-iwas.
Thank you, Secretary. Sir, may please go to Mr. Gonzales?
Yes,
Just
please.
one question. Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Gonzales. Sir, can you just
Good
share
afternoon.
with us the details or maybe an overview of how far will the private sectors go in terms of pooling funds? Do you have a specific target as to how many vaccines you intend to purchase as a whole, as a group?
Thanks for the question. As I understand, as mentioned earlier, we're up to a commitment of 2 million doses. This was originally spearheaded by, of course, Secretary Galvez, but also from the private sector, Presidential Advisor Joey Concepcion, and from my understanding, BDO. They were really the ones who pushed this. We just were, I guess, saling pusa after, no? So they deserve a lot of credit for this. And we're just one of the few that are really pushing it. But we're all trying to get more groups to come in to contribute. But I do understand that there is a specific limit of what AstraZeneca is able to provide the Philippines in the first stage. Obviously, as production expands, not only will you have more corporates coming in to support the government in this tri-party agreement, but also more people participating from a commercial point of view when the vaccine becomes commercially available. I think we should all remember that not only have they released very, very good findings in terms of efficacy and immunity, but this is also probably one of the cheaper vaccines on the market, which makes it very, very accessible. And also from a logistics point of view, this is probably one of the easiest to move around and very suitable for the logistical environment of the Philippines.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Secretary, I'll go to Sec Liling po. One question also.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Secretary Liling. Ma'am?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, with the vaccine insight, with some good developments as mentioned by Secretary Galvez, are we preparing or will be having physical classes very soon?
We are studying that possibility, but definitely not this year, and definitely not until the president makes a pronouncement. But we are preparing a report for the president on the current experience at klaro naman kung magkaroon ng face-to-face, it will be very limited to areas which are absolutely safe. There will be conditions from the Department of Health. There will also be conditions coming from us. It will not be lahat-lahat sabay-sabay na mag face-to-face. No, it will have to be very selective, and it will not happen this year. And the president has not spoken on that subject at all.
But will you be pushing for that, ma'am, face-to-face early 2021 or not? What hindi pa rin po siya possible?
If there are areas where it's safe, no, and we'll get clearance from the Department of Health and the IATF kasi sila ang nag-a-assess ng health situation. At saka depende sa approach yan kasi yung number ng students, etc. So we are now looking into that. But ulitin ko, definitely not this year at definitely walang mga arrangements right now with kung sino ang mga grupo na mag-face-to-face at this time because the president has not made any pronouncement at all. Pero magre-report kami sa kanya.
Thank you, Secretary Liling. Salamat
Thank you.
Thank you, Trish. We go to Yusek Rocky, please.
Yes, Secretary, from Virgil Lopez of GMA7 Online, China has accused U.S. National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien of attempting to sow discord between China and the Philippines after O'Brien slammed Beijing's encroachment of territories in the South China Sea that are under Manila's exclusive economic zone. What is the palace take on this?
I cannot speak either for the National Security Advisor of the US or the spokesperson of China. I can only speak for the President. And the President has said that there will be increased tensions among superpowers in the region. We do not want to take part in that drive for hegemony. We will assert our national interests, and we would want a peaceful resolution to the West Philippine Sea dispute.
Okay. From Summit Enilia, meron na po kayang new issuance ang IATF sa POEA for the lifting of the temporary deployment ban for healthcare workers?
Meron na po. May resolution na po yan. Na-aproba na ni Presidente. So, ang effectivity po niyan upon publication na lang. But the resolution was not made public because it required the approval of the President. But now that it has been approved, we will also release now that POEA, IATF resolution. So there has always been a resolution not made public because it required presidential approval.
Opo. Second question ni Summit Enilia, since bibili po ang government ng vaccine sa iba't ibang companies, paano po i-determine kung ano ibibigay na vaccine sa isang area? Gagawin po ba itong random?
Random na po yan kasi libre po ito. So ang importante, magpabakuna. And we are thankful naman sa kumpiyansa na ating taong bayan. According to the SWS survey, 66% of our Filipinos are willing to have the vaccine, which is more than enough para magkaroon ng herd immunity.
From John Punsalan ng ABS-CBN, for spokes, you told Teleradyo this morning that a non-disclosure agreement covers the advance fee for COVID-19 vaccines. How can the public be sure that vaccine procurement will be free of anomalies despite the NDA? Because
the President is on top of the situation po. And of course, the President has full trust and confidence in Secretary Galvez, who is the lone vaccine czar and who will personally be responsible to the President.
Second question po niya, some social media comments on cabinet officials' flight to Davao yesterday was about its cost. Wouldn't it be possible for cabinet members to meet with the President via video conference?
Ang sinakyan po namin, C295, cargo. Kasama po namin medical supplies intended for Davao. So incidental po kami. Wala pong extra cost. If you want, I will publish a picture po kung ano ang sitwasyon ng mga staff namin na nakasakay doon sa cargo area ng eroplano. It's a lot of sacrifice po. And there was no expense spent just for us. We were incidental passengers in a full cargo flight. Ang tawag po namin diyan doon sa may upuan, yan yung business class ng military cargo aircraft. Yung nasa cargo storage area mismo, that's the economy class. Of course, that's a joke.
Opo. For Secretary Briones po, tanong pa rin po ni John Punsalan, what's the catch-up plan for students in areas that implemented class suspensions after being severely affected by typhoons? Marikina, for instance, will resume classes in January, but the first quarter is only until December 12.
Alam mo dyan, every year mayroong disaster. Every year mayroong crisis, natural or otherwise. Kaya handa na ang departamento sa mga ganong sitwasyon. Nangyari ang Marawi, patuloy naman ang pag-aaral ng mga bata. Ito ngayon sa Marikina, nagtutulong-tulong lahat ng mga regions para maayos ang sitwasyon sa Marikina. Sanay na kami dyan. Anong usually ginagawa? Una, tinitingnan natin yung calendar, calendar of activities. Ina-adjust yun. Alam naman ninyo, magdedebate ang mga parents, ang mga teachers kung mayroon bang Saturday classes, Sunday classes, extension classes para makamake up at makahabol yung mga bata. At saka ngayon, kami ay nakikipag-dialogue sa iba't ibang grupo ng mga estudyante na humihingi at nagkikiusap ng sinasabi nilang academic ease na magiging reasonable pagbigyan yung paghirap ng mga estudyante at mga teachers. So adjustments will also be made along those lines. So ang calendar i-adjust, magtutulungan ang lahat-lahat, hindi lamang yung area which is affected kasi ginagawa naman talaga natin yan taon-taon tuwing mayroong sakuna, whether natural or otherwise. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Secretary Briones. For Secretary Roque, question from Tuesday New. Paano po ang mga tiyangge sa Divisoria na nasa open area, nasa mga gilid ng kalsada, talaga pong mahirap kontrolin ang dagsa ng tao dyan? So sino po ang papapanagutin dyan? Hindi naman kontrolado ng may-ari ng tiyangge ang dating ng mga tao kasi nasa kalsada sila.
Well, yan po ay responsibilidad ng lokal na pamahalaan, pero responsibilidad na rin po natin yan because kinakailangan nga abutan natin yung libreng bakuna. So alam natin kinakailangan mamili para sa Pasko, pero ingatan naman natin mga sarili, hindi lang para sa hanap buhay, kung hindi para tayo magkaroon ng maligayang Pasko dahil pag kayo nagkasakit, hinasa ng Merry Christmas.
Opo. Tanong naman mula kay Michael Flores ng AFP, pa-clarify naman po kay spokes nung tripartite agreement that Secretary Galvez mentioned last night. Same ba yan sa dinescribe ni Mr. Christian Gonzales ngayon?
Yes po, that's the tripartite agreement.
Opo. Question from Ace Romero. Sabi po daw ni Senator Laila De Lima, and I quote, Duterte says he cannot investigate congressmen and senators because they belong to a separate branch of government. So who investigated and filed the PDAF complaints against Enrile, Jinggoy, Revilla, and a dozen or so congressmen, di ba NBI at DOJ? Paki-review po ng political law nyo. Ano po ang masasabi nyo dito?
Wala po, pagbigyan nyo na, wala makausap yung ali.
Opo. So far,
Okay.
Secretary, yan lang po ang ating nakuhan tanong.
Maraming salamat
sa
po.
ating natin.
Well, may konti pa po tayong oras, so baka gusto mag-round 2 ng ilang ating mga kasama. Si Joseph Morong, gusto raw mag-round 2. Go ahead, please.
Okay, just short on the President's declaration kagabi and then a little bit on COVID. Sir, why is the President mentioning yung mga names ng mga maliliit na taga-gobyerno and refusing to name yung mga congressmen? Is the President making a distinction between crimes committed by regular government officials and those in high places, meaning corruption committed by lowly government employees, deserve shaming, but those who are committed possibly by congressmen, medyo mas maingat siya.
Already answered po, no? Ang mga pangalang binabasa niya ay yung mga pangalan ng mga tao na nagtatrabaho sa ehekutibo, ibig sabihin his subordinates. And jurisprudence, of course, is that he has control over every single person under the executive department.
Sir COVID, you mentioned ang aking active cases is 29, 27, and then 25. Tapos our attack rate is at 1.48. What does this data show? Are we flattening the curve, and what is its effect on the next community quarantine that we'll be imposing starting December 1st?
Actually, may binigay po akong slide na hindi napakita, yung pababang trend po, no? Bumababa po talaga yung kaso ng COVID-19 sa ngayon, no? At ang ebidensya nga po dyan ay yung attack rate at saka yung sinabi nyo na attack rate and yung ano pa ba yung isa? Ayun. Yung total number of cases at saka yung attack rate ay bumababa po.
So can you say we're flattening the curve, and ano bang effect nito sa next CQ natin?
Well, let's just say that it's on a downward trend ang ating mga kaso, no? And I hope it continues. As to whether or not we have actually flattened the curve, well, mas maganda po yan kung talagang tuluyang wala na mga bago, no? Pero pababa po ng pababa because sunod-sunod na araw na po tayo, under 2,000 po ang mga bagong kaso. Okay? Thank you very much, Joseph. Joyce Balancho, please.
Yes, Secretary Roque, pahabol din po. Some groups are questioning ito pong nilagay natin na 5,000 caps sa nurses na pwede pong payagan na ma-deploy sa ibang bansa. Some are saying instead na maglagay po tayo ng cap, i-increase na lang po natin yung benefits and salaries of nurses para kusa na po silang hindi aalis ng bansa.
Meron na pong panukalang batas na hinain si Deputy Speaker Paulo Duterte tungkol dito. I hope Congress enacts it, no? Pangalawa po, yung 5,000, yan po yung initial. Kung yan po ay maubos in the second quarter at meron na namang bakuna, baka tanggalin na yan altogether. Sinisiguro lang natin na hindi naman tayo mauubusan ng mga nurses, nursing assistants, and nursing aides na merong clinical experience dahil kung mawala yung may clinical experience, sino mag-aalaga sa atin kung tayo magkakasakit?
Sir, isa-certify po ba ni Pangulong Duterte as urgent measure itong bill na final po ni Congressman Polong?
Well, I think it's up to Congress to act on it, no? As of now, I have no information if the President will, but I know for a fact that Secretary Bello is very supportive of this legislative initiative. Okay, si Tricia Tirada. Thank you, Joyce. Siguro last question neto. Okay, Tricia Tirada.
Ito pong, I've been receiving messages from the group Love is Not Tourism. They're seeking clarification if foreign partners are now allowed to enter the country. Because sa program po ni Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Salvador Panelo, they are quoting him saying that foreign partners are now allowed to enter the Philippines. So if they are, sir, what are the requirements that they need to present? And at the same time, ibig sabihin po ba nito, we're now welcoming foreign tourists or foreign individuals in the country?
Well, depende po kung anong visa ng foreigner, no? Pero sa ngayon po, yung mga papasok sa tourist visa, hindi pa po ina-allow. Ang mga allowed lamang, ang pinaka-latest po, yung tinatawag ng treaty trader under 9G. Before that, inallow po natin yung mga long-staying visa. Kasama po dyan yung mga investors visa na ini-issue ng iba't ibang mga economic zone. No? So lahat po ng mga binibigyan natin yan ng visa is related to business. No? Dahil kapag nandito na yung mga dayuang yan, they can generate jobs. Pero kung pupunta po as tourist visa, hindi pa po allowed.
Thank you, Secretary.
Okay, last one from Pierre Renada, please.
Yes, sir. Sir, just to follow up yung sinabi niyo po earlier that Senator De Lima is one of a kind. Sir, but you also said that the executive branch can continue investigating corruption by lawmakers. So, sir, can you just state for the record, in which instances can the president investigate lawmakers?
Well, in offenses which are not within the primary jurisdiction of the ombudsman, such as violation of the anti-graft laws, where it entails, for instance, heinous crimes involving violations of the anti-drugs law of the country, then the executive can, of course, investigate that. Okay? Ano kasi yan kaming mga abogado, we tend to have specializations, and even fiscals, prosecutors also have specializations. Kaya meron tayong special prosecutors for anti-graft law. These are the ombudsman lawyer. Meron tayong mga specialized prosecutors for drugs. Meron tayong specialized prosecutors for trafficking. Kasi nga, the more experienced you are with the field of law, the higher the conviction rate. Okay? Yusek Rocky, please.
Opo, Secretary Roque, mula kay Jenaling Kabiling ng Manila Bulletin, Vice President Leni Robredo said she hopes she and President Duterte could set aside their differences to help the people. Is the President willing to do this and work with Robredo?
It's her call. 2 beses siya inappoint ni Presidente. So I don't know what initiative she has taken naman. Maybe she should start the initiative. Okay? Okay, wala na pong mga tanong. Maraming salamat po. Unang-una, maraming salamat, Sec. Leonor Briones. Thank you as usual. Maraming salamat po kay Mr. Christian Razon Gonzalez. Sir, thank you not just for joining us, but thank you also for your generosity in procuring vaccines for our people. Maraming salamat po, hindi lang sa ICTSI. Maraming salamat din po sa BDO, na gaya na sinabi nyo, at saka sa SM, at saka sa Go Negosyo ni Presidential Advisor Joey Concepcion, at iba pang mga pribadong mga kumpanya na kasapi po dito sa programang ito. Maraming salamat po sa ating mga kasamahan dito sa Malacanang Press Corps, and of course, thank you, Yusek Rocky. So sa ngalan po ng ating Presidente, Rodrigo Roa Duterte, ito po ang inyong Spokesari Roque nagsasabi, mga kababayan, ilang tulog na lang, may bakuna na. Abutan po natin ng bakuna. Samantala, mask, hugas, iwas para magkaroon ng Merry Christmas. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat.